Most people chase money as if it'll solve all their problems. But here's a secret very few understand. Your business will thrive not because of revenue streams, but because of the person you become, the decisions you make, and the value you deliver. If I gave you a time machine that could show you the business you will have in 5 years, would you like to look? Most people would be terrified because it reflects not what they want, but what they're thinking today. Your business is a reflection of your daily habits, decisions, and mindset. Change your mind, change your business. You see, too many people believe that business begins with a product, a service, or even a fancy office. They think wealth begins when the first sale is made, when the first customer signs a check, or when the numbers in their account finally look right. But let me tell you a truth that changed my own life. Business begins in the mind long before it ever touches the marketplace. Before there's a contract, before there is a product, before there is even a business card, there is a philosophy. The way you think about your business, what it stands for, what it represents, and the principles you uphold will determine how it grows, how it thrives, and how it withstands storms. I've seen people launch ventures with brilliant ideas but no guiding philosophy, and they often find themselves adrift, reacting to every trend, chasing every opportunity, and constantly worried about survival. Meanwhile, those who take time to define their values, their principles, and their purpose find a calm clarity in decision-making. They don't just chase income, they create value, they serve their customers, and they build something that lasts. When I began my first venture, I didn't have a product that was revolutionary. I didn't have a massive investment or a marketing genius behind me. What I did have was a philosophy. Integrity matters more than the sale. Service matters more than recognition. And consistency matters more than luck. I committed to these principles daily. And you know what I discovered? People respond to principles far more than they respond to products. If your philosophy is strong, it guides you when opportunities are confusing, when competitors pressure you to cut corners, when the economy fluctuates. The philosophy doesn't just guide your business, it guides your life. It gives you a foundation that trends cannot shake and that circumstances cannot erode. So, how do you begin to build this philosophy? Start by writing down your top 5 values. Don't rush this. Reflect on what matters most in business and in life. Is it honesty, service, quality, innovation, or maybe patience? These are not just words to hang on a wall. They are your operating system. Every major decision you make should be tested against these principles. Before you take that big client, launch that new product, or sign that contract, ask yourself, does this align with my values? Am I adding value or merely chasing income? That simple question, repeated every day, will transform the way you build and run your business. I've used this in my life countless times. When faced with difficult choices, I often paused and asked, does this reflect the kind of business I want to be remembered for? The answer shaped decisions that not only preserved my integrity, but also attracted clients, partners, and opportunities that aligned with my vision. And here is something too few business owners understand. Philosophy is not static. It must be fed, nourished, and reinforced. 10 minutes a day can change the trajectory of your life and business. Read a passage from a book that teaches principles, listen to a mentor, or reflect on a story that embodies the values you aspire to live by. I remember starting my mornings with a simple ritual. 10 minutes of reading or listening focused solely on sharpening my business philosophy. At first it seemed insignificant, but over time, those 10 minutes accumulated. They shaped how I thought, how I acted, and ultimately, how my business grew. It's not the product alone that carries you forward. It's the disciplined, daily reinforcement of your guiding principles. This philosophy becomes the heart of your business, a foundation that generates trust, fosters loyalty, and ensures that when challenges arise, your business doesn't crumble, it thrives. Your business will only be as strong as the philosophy behind it. Build that first, nurture it, and let it guide every step. When you start here, profit follows naturally because your foundation is unshakable. You know, so many people think the success of their business depends entirely on their product, their marketing, or the hours they spend at the office. But I want to tell you something most people overlook. Your business will never outgrow you. The company, the team, the clients, they will only rise as high as the person leading them. You see, the most valuable asset in your business isn't the office, the machinery, or even the capital. It's you. And this is a truth that changes everything. If you want your business to thrive, you must focus on becoming the kind of person capable of leading, inspiring, and creating growth. I've lived through this lesson myself. Early in my career, I poured hours into work, into chasing deals, into hustling to make money. And yet I realized my business was limited by my own thinking, by my own knowledge, and by my ability to lead effectively. I wasn't becoming more, I was just doing more. And that's when the shift happened. I decided to work harder on myself than I ever worked on my business. Working on yourself means understanding that wealth, leadership, and success begin in the mind before they manifest anywhere else. If you want your business to rise, you must first invest in your ability to think strategically, communicate persuasively, make sound decisions, and manage both your emotions and your energy. I remember dedicating myself to these areas intentionally. Each day, I committed at least 30 minutes to learning something new, a principle of leadership, a tactic to improve communication, or a strategy to strengthen decision-making. These small, consistent investments in myself paid off far more than any shortcut or temporary fix in the business ever could. I began to notice that as I grew, my business naturally started to grow alongside me. Opportunities appeared that hadn't existed before. My team responded differently. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable became manageable. But self-development isn't only about knowledge, it's about consistent application. That's why I recommend keeping a growth journal. Every day, note what you've learned and, importantly, how you will apply it. Reflection turns knowledge into action. Without applying what you learn, self-development is merely theory, and theory alone never moves a business forward. In my own journey, writing down lessons, reflecting on conversations with mentors, and planning practical steps allowed me to turn insight into results. It became a cycle: grow, apply, adjust, and repeat. Slowly but surely, my personal growth fueled my business growth. Another practical strategy is to immerse yourself in environments that stretch your thinking. Attend one workshop, mastermind, or webinar every month. Surround yourself with people who are smarter, more experienced, or simply more driven than you. You see, business growth is exponential when paired with personal growth because you're continuously absorbing ideas, strategies, and perspectives you wouldn't encounter otherwise. I recall attending a small seminar in my early days and thinking, I don't have time for this. But that single session introduced me to ways of thinking that reshaped how I approached leadership and problem solving in my business. That lesson paid dividends for decades. It's essential to remember that as you grow, your business automatically benefits. Leaders set the tone, your mindset sets the culture, your knowledge determines strategy, your habits determine performance. If you're reading, learning, reflecting, and applying daily, you're not just improving yourself, you're strengthening every aspect of your business. Wealth, stability, and success are a natural consequence of your personal evolution. So I urge you to pause and ask yourself today, am I investing enough in the one asset that determines my business's success? Myself. Because when you commit to becoming more, everything else starts to align. Your business will grow, your decisions will sharpen, and your life will transform in ways no amount of effort alone could ever achieve. You know, so many entrepreneurs spend their lives running in circles, exhausted by the very business they built. They work long hours, carry the weight of every decision, and think that grinding harder will solve every problem. But here's the truth that most people don't understand. Working harder is never the ultimate solution. The wealthy don't just work harder, they build systems that work for them. A business without systems is nothing more than a glorified job that owns you. You're trading your time for every ounce of value, and time is the one asset you can never replace. I remember early in my career, I was that person, chasing every small task, checking every email, making every decision myself. I was proud of the effort, yet exhausted and frustrated. I thought this was what success required, but in truth, I was enslaving myself to my own enterprise. It wasn't until I realized the power of systems that my business began to grow beyond my own hours, my own energy, and my own limitations. Systems are simply ways of creating repeatable, reliable, and predictable results without needing to intervene in every step. They replace chaos with order. They transform your business from something dependent on luck and frantic effort into a structure that produces results consistently. I learned this principle first by documenting every routine I could in my own work. The tasks that were repetitive, emails, invoices, client follow-ups, reporting, each had a repeatable checklist. Once I created the steps and followed them faithfully, I could delegate them, knowing the outcome would remain consistent. This gave me space to focus on growth, strategy, and opportunities that only I could handle. Automation is another cornerstone. You see, every dollar or hour spent manually handling routine operations is energy lost that could have been invested in multiplying value. Early in my journey, I set up systems for recurring payments, automatic reminders, and client follow-ups. It wasn't complicated. It was simply a matter of deciding that the process should run itself. Over time, I realized that automation doesn't just save time, it creates peace of mind. I wasn't chasing things constantly. The system handled it. And freedom, my friends, is the most powerful currency a business owner can have. Delegation is equally important. You cannot and should not be the only one capable of doing everything in your company. I learned to identify what only I could do and what could be trained, taught, or delegated to someone else. At first, it was uncomfortable letting go of control. I thought if I don't do it, it won't be done right. But I discovered something crucial. Training someone well, giving them clear guidelines, and trusting them to execute actually multiplies results. What took me hours could now be done by someone else in half the time, freeing me to focus on growth, strategy, and innovation. This is how small businesses begin to scale, and why systems, not endless effort, separate those who achieve wealth from those who only chase it. Even simple documentation matters. When I started recording step-by-step processes for the tasks I performed regularly, it was like creating a blueprint for the business. Anyone could follow it, yet the business still reflected my standards and vision. So, think about your own business. Where are you trading time for value unnecessarily? What tasks can be automated delegated, or documented. Systems are not just about efficiency, they are about creating freedom, consistency, and the ability to grow without burning out. They allow you to work on your business rather than in it, and they give you the power to scale in ways that would have been impossible if you remained chained to your daily grind. Start small today. Write a checklist for one repetitive process. Set up one automated task. Train someone to handle a responsibility that doesn't require your unique contribution. And as these small systems accumulate, you'll discover something profound. Your business begins to run smoothly, almost effortlessly, and you are free to focus on what really matters: vision, growth, and legacy. Too many people get caught up in the day-to-day, thinking that success is about surviving the next email, the next client, or the next paycheck. They live in a constant state of reaction, responding to every little fire without ever considering the bigger picture. But let me tell you something crucial. Wealth, and particularly a business that lasts, is never built in a day. Millionaires, those who create empires that endure, don't think in weeks or months. They think in years, even decades. They plan for a future that may seem distant, yet they take daily steps to make that distant future inevitable. This is the delicate balance. Thinking long-term while acting short-term. Without the long view, actions lose meaning. Without short-term action, vision remains a dream. I remember early in my career, I had ideas about where I wanted my business to go, but I didn't write them down. I kept them floating somewhere in my mind, hoping I'd remember them when the time was right. Weeks turned into months, and months into years. Opportunities passed me by because I had no clear direction guiding my daily efforts. That's when I learned the power of combining vision with action. I began writing a 5-year plan, detailing not just financial goals, but the type of business I wanted to run, the reputation I wanted to build, and the impact I wanted to have on people's lives. Suddenly, every small decision became a stepping stone toward that vision. But a long-term vision without immediate action is just a fantasy. The 3% understand that while patience is essential, urgency is equally so. Every morning I ask myself a simple question. What one action today will move me closer to the vision I want 5 years from now? It might be making a call to a potential partner, drafting a proposal, or even dedicating 30 minutes to learning a skill that will strengthen my leadership. The key is consistency. One action today compounds over time. It's the daily disciplines, small but intentional, that turn vision into reality. I've watched businesses grow slowly at first, almost imperceptibly, until momentum builds, and then suddenly, results accelerate. This is the magic of compounding in action, not with money alone, but with effort aligned to vision. Breaking long-term goals into short-term actionable steps is where most entrepreneurs fail. They set lofty ambitions, but never create the bridge from today to that future. I like to work in 90-day increments. Each 90 days becomes a mini milestone. A period of focused execution where I know exactly what needs to happen to advance toward my ultimate goal. Within each 90-day plan, I outline weekly actions, specific tasks that, if completed consistently, guarantee progress. It's like climbing a mountain. You don't leap to the summit in one jump. You take one step, then another, guided by a map and driven by the end in sight. Each small step taken with purpose compounds into tremendous results over time. Long-term thinking also protects your business from short-term panic. When the market fluctuates, competitors surge, or challenges arise, a clear vision allows you to remain steady, You act with discipline instead of reacting emotionally. I recall during a downturn early in my career, many around me were cutting corners, making hasty decisions to survive. But because I had a clear vision and a 90-day plan, I stayed the course, focused on actions that would pay off in the long run. Years later, that patience and consistency created opportunities my peers missed. So remember this, always think decades ahead, but take daily actions. Let your long-term vision guide your short-term decisions. Write down where you want to be in 5 years. Break that into 90-day goals, weekly actions, and daily steps. Ask yourself each morning, what one action today will move me closer? The combination of patience and urgency is the heartbeat of lasting wealth and a business that works. Too often, I see entrepreneurs caught in the illusion that earning more automatically creates wealth. They celebrate the million-dollar months, the big contracts, the spikes in revenue, but when I look closer, there's nothing left to show for it. The truth is, a business that earns $1 million but keeps none is far poorer than a business earning 10,000 wisely managed. Wealth isn't a matter of income, it's a matter of discipline. Money responds to structure, consistency, and intentional action, not simply to effort or luck. A business without financial discipline is like a garden without boundaries. The weeds of poor decisions, waste, and impulsive spending choke the life out of it. The first step toward mastery is embracing the principle of profit first. This isn't about greed, and it's certainly not about hoarding money. It's about respecting the future you're building. Before paying bills, salaries, or operational costs, decide what portion of income will go directly toward profit. That profit becomes your foundation. It's the money you use to invest in growth, to educate yourself and your team, to prepare for rainy days, and to plant seeds that yield future abundance. I remember when I first applied this in my own ventures, I started small. I allocated even a modest percentage of every dollar earned to profit. At first, it felt uncomfortable. My immediate reaction was, but the bills. Yet, over time, that small discipline created a sense of control I had never experienced. I was no longer a servant to my cash flow, I became its master. Discipline also means clarity. What gets measured improves. Many entrepreneurs operate in a fog, never truly knowing where their money goes. They rely on intuition, hoping their expenses align with their goals. But hope is a poor financial strategy. I suggest tracking every dollar, where it comes from, where it goes, and how it contributes to the business or your future. Start simple. Create categories for operations, education, reinvestment, and reserves. Allocate 70% to keep your business running smoothly, 10% toward education to sharpen your skills and your team's capabilities, another 10% to reinvestment to fuel growth initiatives, and 10% for reserves to protect against unexpected storms. This kind of allocation doesn't just stabilize a business, it transforms it into a machine that grows predictably over time. Reviewing your financials weekly is critical. Don't wait for the end of the month, quarter, or year to discover surprises. Early awareness allows for immediate course correction. I've seen businesses teeter on the brink because someone ignored the numbers, thinking they'd handle it later. That later often arrives too late. By reviewing financials consistently, you gain insight and control. You begin to notice trends, where cash flow tightens, where unnecessary expenses creep in, and where opportunities for reinvestment or saving arise. Knowledge without action is useless, but knowledge coupled with disciplined implementation is power. Automation is another pillar of financial mastery. Don't rely solely on willpower. Set up systems where a portion of every income deposit automatically flows into savings, profit accounts, and reinvestment funds. That way, you honor the principle of profit first without needing to negotiate with yourself each month. You remove the temptation to spend what should be set aside, and your future starts to grow quietly, reliably, and predictably. I recall setting up automatic transfers early in my business. Initially, it felt like giving away control, but I soon realized I had gained far more. I was building wealth passively, letting systems work for me, while I focused on growth, strategy, and serving my clients. Finally, set clear profit goals for each quarter. Don't leave it vague. Decide exactly how much profit you want, how it will be allocated, and how you will achieve it. Treat profit as sacred, not incidental. When you combine allocation, tracking, automation, and goal setting, financial discipline becomes second nature, and wealth follows naturally. Mastering money isn't about earning more, it's about managing wisely. Wealth isn't accidental, it's designed. Begin today, allocate with intention, measure consistently, and watch your business transform into a thriving, disciplined engine of prosperity. One of the greatest lessons I've learned over the years is that your environment shapes your results far more than most people realize. I've heard it said you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I can tell you from experience, it's not just a saying, it's a principle that will either lift you to extraordinary heights or keep you trapped in mediocrity. In the early days of my career, I worked tirelessly, thinking hard work alone would be enough. I hustled long hours, read books, and chased opportunities. But for all my effort, my results were limited. I was moving, yes, but I wasn't soaring. Then I began to notice something remarkable. The people around me influenced not only what I did, but how I thought. Surround yourself with growth-minded people, those who push you to expand your thinking, challenge your assumptions, and raise your standards. I remember joining my first mastermind group. At first, I was intimidated. These were individuals who had accomplished far more than I had at that time. Their energy was different, their mindset was different, and their conversations were different. Being in that environment forced me to elevate my own thinking. I realized that mediocrity spreads like a virus. If I spent all my time with people who complained, made excuses, or avoided responsibility, I too would adopt those habits unconsciously. But exposure to individuals who dreamed bigger, acted decisively, and refused to settle had the opposite effect. It became contagious. Building a circle of mentors, peers, and partners who challenge and elevate you is one of the most strategic moves you can make in business and in life. It's not about being around people who simply flatter you or validate your choices. True growth comes from those who tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I recall a meeting with a mentor early in my business when I was wavering on a critical decision. He didn't give me a pat on the back. He questioned my assumptions, asked hard questions, and forced me to justify my plan. At the time, it was uncomfortable. I wanted easy answers. But his guidance reshaped my thinking and led to a decision that multiplied my results. That's the power of being in the right circle. Their insight becomes your advantage. Practical steps are simple, yet transformative. Seek out a mastermind or professional network that aligns with your goals. Commit to showing up consistently. When I first joined such a group, it was only an hour a week, but those 60 minutes changed my trajectory. Pair that with weekly meetings with at least one person who inspires you or serves as a mentor. These interactions need not be formal. They can be walks, coffee, chats, or brainstorming sessions, but they must be intentional. Ask questions, absorb wisdom, and reflect on how you can apply their principles. Equally important is evaluating your existing circle. Take a hard look at the people you spend the most time with. Are they dreamers who take action, doers who create results, or distractors who drain energy and focus? It's a subtle but powerful choice. Replace or reduce the time spent with distractors. Invest more time with those who model the behaviors, habits, and mindset you aspire to embody over time. This becomes a force multiplier. Your ideas become bigger, your confidence stronger, and your commitment deeper because your environment reinforces these qualities daily. I remember when I began distancing myself from those who doubted, criticized without insight, or settled for less. At first, it was uncomfortable, even lonely. But soon, I found a community of ambitious, disciplined, and ethically driven people. Our conversations sparked creativity, accountability, and action. Ideas that might have seemed impossible became achievable. Goals that once felt distant suddenly felt within reach. That's the invisible engine of growth. The people around you amplify your potential far more than money, tools, or even talent alone. If you want to build a business that works, if you want to generate real wealth, you must recognize this truth. Your circle either lifts you up or weighs you down. Be deliberate, be selective, and invest in relationships that challenge and elevate you. The company you keep today will determine the results you achieve tomorrow. One of the most profound lessons I've learned over the years is that business is never really about selling, it's about serving. I've seen countless entrepreneurs chase numbers, targets, and profits, thinking that if they just pushed hard enough, the money would follow. And sometimes it does, but often it's fleeting. The real foundation of lasting wealth, influence, and success is built on trust. People don't buy from faceless companies. They buy from individuals they believe in, people they feel understand them, and businesses that serve them genuinely. Service is the currency of trust, and trust, my friends, is the currency of profit. In my early career, I was desperate to make sales. I had a product, a plan, and ambition, but my results were inconsistent. Then a mentor challenged me with a simple question. Are you focused on selling or serving? That question changed everything. I realized that when I treated every interaction as an opportunity to genuinely help someone, the pressure of selling vanished. Instead, relationships began to grow, customers returned, referrals multiplied. My business became more predictable, not because I chased them harder, but because I cared more. There is a timeless truth here. When you prioritize others' needs and deliver real value, profit is a natural byproduct. The strategy is simple, though it requires discipline. Make it a habit to focus first on relationships, not transactions. Listen more than you speak. Understand the problems your customers face, the fears they carry, and the dreams they pursue. Every business decision, every product improvement, every conversation should begin with the question, how can I serve better? I remember spending time personally responding to questions, offering guidance, and even helping a few customers for free just to see them succeed. The impact was profound. Those same people became loyal advocates, spreading your reputation far beyond what advertising ever could. Practical steps can bring this philosophy to life immediately. Reach out to a handful of customers this week. 5, 10, it doesn't matter. Simply to thank them, check in, or offer help. No sales pitch, no hidden agenda. The goal is human connection. Ask for feedback regularly and act on it. Too many businesses collect opinions and then ignore them. Listening and implementing shows people that you value them and that respect turns into loyalty. Another powerful way to serve is to create free value, content, guides, videos, workshops, or loyalty programs that educate and inspire. When you provide more than you expect to receive, you establish credibility, authority, and trust. I recall one particular client who was struggling with a small aspect of their business. I spent time walking them through the solution, giving advice freely, and following up to see their progress. Months later, they referred 3 new clients to me, all of whom became long-term partners. The lesson is clear. Service has a compounding effect. Every act of genuine care multiplies your influence, reputation, and ultimately, your revenue. Serve before you sell also requires patience. In a world obsessed with instant gratification and quick wins, the temptation to push hard for immediate results is strong. But real wealth comes from cultivating long-term relationships. The people who trust you will buy from you again and again, and they will bring others along. This ripple effect is far more powerful than a single hard sale ever could be. The essence of business, the heartbeat of real success, is serving others first. When you care more than you sell, when your focus is on adding value rather than extracting it, you create loyalty, trust, and abundance. Sales follow naturally, but the deeper reward is a reputation that endures, relationships that last, and a business that grows steadily, sustainably, and meaningfully. If you want a business that works, a brand that lasts, and wealth that is real and repeatable, remember this principle: serve first, sell second, and let trust lead the way. When I look back over my career, one truth stands out above all others: wealth without meaning is empty. Too many people chase numbers, cars, or vacations, thinking that success is measured by lifestyle alone. But the most impactful and enduring businesses aren't built merely to fund a lifestyle. They are built to create a legacy. Money, influence, and freedom are tools, not the ultimate goal. True wealth, the kind that lasts beyond a single lifetime, comes from the impact you leave behind. It's not just about the bank account. It's about the people you touch, the culture you create, and the systems you leave for others to thrive. I remember early in my journey thinking that the point of success was to make life easier for myself. I wanted comfort, security, and the ability to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And while those things matter, they were never enough to sustain me through challenges or setbacks. It wasn't until I shifted my focus from lifestyle to legacy that my perspective and my business truly changed. I realized that building a business with meaning creates momentum far beyond what money alone can achieve. When you think legacy, every decision carries purpose. Every hire, every product, every process becomes an opportunity to create something that endures. The strategy for building a business that lasts is rooted in systems, culture, and mentorship. Systems allow your business to run without you standing over every task. They ensure consistency, quality, and scalability long after the first idea is launched. Culture shapes how people think and act within your company. It is the invisible force that drives performance and loyalty. Mentorship ensures that your knowledge, experience, and values are passed on to others who can carry your vision forward. In essence, a legacy-minded business multiplies itself because it grows not just in revenue, but in influence and purpose. Practical steps to create this kind of impact begin with documentation. Write down your business principles, your core values, and your operating procedures. This is not just a reference for others. It is a compass for your business that aligns every decision with a consistent philosophy. I've seen countless companies stumble or lose their way simply because their guiding principles existed only in someone's head. When you make them tangible, you create clarity, continuity, and control. Mentorship is the next cornerstone. Identify someone on your team who shows potential and invest time in teaching them not just skills, but the mindset of an owner. Show them how decisions are made, how priorities are set, and how challenges are approached. By mentoring even one person deeply, you extend the reach of your influence exponentially. I can recall a young associate I mentored years ago who went on to build her own thriving business while implementing the same principles we had discussed. The satisfaction of watching her succeed and knowing that some part of that success was guided by our work together is immeasurable. Finally, dedicate a portion of your profits to giving back, whether through community initiatives, mentorship programs, or educational efforts. Wealth that is hoarded is fleeting. Wealth that is shared becomes a force for good, inspiring others, fostering gratitude, and creating networks of opportunity. When you invest in others, you are planting seeds that grow long after you're gone. I have seen businesses that started small, but because their founders invested in people, culture, and community, they became institutions that thrive for generations. Thinking legacy over lifestyle changes your perspective on risk, reward, and purpose. It encourages patience, wisdom, and responsibility. It reminds you that the impact you create today can ripple through years, even decades. Lifestyle is temporary, legacy is eternal. When you approach business with this mindset, every choice becomes a building block for something greater than yourself. If you want your business to be more than a job, more than a paycheck, more than a personal gain, remember this. Think legacy, build systems, mentor others, and invest in your community. In doing so, you don't just create wealth, you create meaning that will outlive you. I want to start with a truth that most people resist hearing. No matter how much you earn, if you spend it all, you will always stay broke. You can have a six-figure income, a fancy car, a bigger house, and yet, at the end of the month, your bank account says otherwise. Wealth is not just a matter of income, it is a matter of discipline. And this is the paradox. The more disciplined you are with your money today, the more freedom and opportunities you will enjoy tomorrow. I learned this lesson early in my career, sitting at a small table with a handful of dollars and more bills than I could count. I was eager, motivated, and convinced that earning more was the key to escaping financial stress. But each month, despite earning slightly more than the last, I felt the same tension, the same pressure. It wasn't until I examined not my income, but my habits, that I realized my problem wasn't earning, it was spending. The rich don't out-earn their problems, they out-discipline them. The strategy is simple, yet powerful. Live below your means. It sounds almost too easy to be true, but it is the foundation of wealth. It is about intentionally creating a gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is not just money left over, it is freedom, opportunity, and the raw material for investment. It is the capital that allows your money to grow rather than vanish into immediate gratification. The practical steps to achieve this discipline start with awareness. Track every single expense for 30 days. Write it down, categorize it, and don't leave anything out. Coffee runs, streaming subscriptions, convenience purchases, impulse buys, everything counts. At first you may feel embarrassed at how much slips through your fingers. That's good. Awareness is the first step toward change. You cannot control what you do not measure. By seeing where your money goes, you begin to understand patterns, habits, and hidden drains that quietly sabotage your financial growth. Next, commit to cutting back. Identify at least 3 unnecessary expenses per month that you can eliminate or reduce. Maybe it's dining out, maybe it's an extra subscription, maybe it's the daily latte. Small cuts compounded over time yield astonishing results. The point is not deprivation, it is prioritization. It is choosing freedom over fleeting comfort, long-term growth over short-term pleasure. Each dollar saved is a soldier you send to work building your financial future. The most critical challenge people face is lifestyle inflation. As income grows, spending tends to grow faster. You get a raise, and suddenly a bigger house, a newer car, or more lavish vacations become normalized. The wealthy think differently. They may enjoy the fruits of success, but they maintain restraint. They increase their investments and savings proportionally, or even faster, than their lifestyle. This is how wealth compounds. By keeping your standard of living under control, you maintain leverage over your finances instead of letting them control you. I recall one man I mentored who doubled his income in 2 years. Most people assumed he would be financially free within a year. Yet because he upgraded his lifestyle with every increase, he remained trapped, paycheck to paycheck. The lesson? Discipline matters more than income. Your capacity to say no today determines your freedom tomorrow. Living below your means is not about what you deny yourself, it's about what you give yourself in terms of time, choice, and opportunity. So, I challenge you to start now. Track your spending, eliminate waste, and resist the temptation to match your lifestyle to every increase in income. This principle is simple but profound. Wealth is a result of what you keep, not what you earn. Freedom is built through restraint. The more you control your spending today, the more powerful and independent you become tomorrow. Discipline is not punishment. It is the gateway to opportunity, security, and true wealth. Live below your means, and you will create a life that no income alone could provide. Let me tell you something that most people misunderstand. Playing it safe is the surest way to stay where you are. Comfort is a beautiful illusion, but it is also a cage. If you want to build a business that works, if you want to create wealth that lasts, you must learn to take risks, not reckless risks, not wild gambles, but calculated risks. Wealth favors the bold who plan, who think ahead, who study before they act, and yet so many people freeze at the very moment opportunity appears, paralyzed by fear of failure or loss. I remember early in my life, sitting with a mentor, looking at a business idea that seemed promising but uncertain. I was afraid. I had little money, little experience, and a mind full of doubts. The safe choice was to wait, to play it small, to avoid embarrassment or loss. But my mentor said, "You don't get richer by standing still. You get richer by acting, learning, and adjusting." That day I realized that opportunity is always paired with uncertainty. The key is not to eliminate risk, it's to manage it intelligently. The strategy is straightforward. Analyze opportunities, weigh the potential upside against the downside, and act decisively when the potential reward justifies the risk. Wealth isn't built on luck, it is built on judgment. Every successful person I've known didn't blindly leap into ventures. They studied, they questioned, they calculated, and then they moved with confidence. This is what separates those who succeed from those who merely dream. The bold act, but they do not act blindly. They prepare, they plan, they educate themselves first. Practically, you can start by listing every potential opportunity before you, whether it's an investment, a new product, a partnership, or a marketing strategy. Write it down. Next to each, Rate the risk versus the reward. Ask yourself, what do I stand to gain? What could I lose? And most importantly, am I willing to accept that loss if it comes? Start small. Only use what you can afford to lose at first. This is a safety net that allows you to move boldly without jeopardizing your life or family. Calculated risks are never about putting your entire future on the line. They are about strategic moves that open doors to growth. Failure is not your enemy. In fact, it is your teacher. When you take a risk and fail, you gain information, you discover what works, what doesn't, and what you might do differently next time. The wealthy embrace this. They understand that each setback is a lesson in strategy and judgment. I recall an early venture where I invested time and money into a small project that didn't succeed. At first, it stung. I questioned my judgment, but the lessons I learned were invaluable. The next venture, guided by what I had learned from that failure, succeeded beyond my expectations. That is the power of calculated risk, knowledge gained through experience. Another essential point is speed of decision. Opportunity waits for no one. Too many people spend weeks, months, even years deliberating, and by the time they act, the chance has passed. The 3% move quickly once they are prepared. They gather information, evaluate, and act decisively. Hesitation is often more costly than the risk itself. It is not reckless haste. It is confident execution based on careful analysis. So I challenge you today, examine the areas of your life and business where fear has kept you small. Where could you take a small but calculated step forward? Could you invest a modest amount in a new skill, a business idea, or a financial opportunity? Could you approach someone for guidance or partnership that might accelerate your growth? Take the risk, measure it, plan for failure, and then act with courage. Remember, fortune does not favor the timid. It favors the bold who think before acting, who prepare, who calculate, and who then take the leap. The safe path may feel comfortable, but it leads to stagnation. Real growth, real wealth comes when you step forward with wisdom and courage. Take calculated risks, and your business and your life will never be the same. Let me begin with a truth that surprises many. The path to building wealth is not paved by taking, it is paved by giving. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? We naturally think if I give, I have less. How can I grow if I part with what I have? But here's the paradox. Generosity creates abundance. Wealth is attracted to those who contribute, who serve, who create value beyond themselves. The universe has a strange way of rewarding the giver, because giving is a declaration of trust, trust in yourself, trust in others, and trust in the process of life itself. Philosophically, if your mindset is solely focused on accumulation, your wealth will always feel finite. You'll chase income, obsess over savings, and stress over every dollar. But if you adopt a mindset of contribution, something remarkable happens. The energy around you changes, opportunities multiply, and people start to align with you in ways that simply don't happen when you are self-absorbed. I learned this lesson early in my career, when I had little money, little experience, and a small circle of friends. I began giving, not because I had excess, but because I wanted to create influence and trust. I would share knowledge freely, help someone struggling with a decision, or provide guidance without expecting anything in return. Over time, doors opened, connections deepened, and resources came back multiplied. That is the power of giving. The strategy is simple but profound. Integrate generosity into your business and financial life in tangible ways. It can be through monetary giving, mentorship, sharing your expertise, or contributing to your community. When you consistently give a portion of your income, you're signaling to the world that you are not limited by scarcity. You are creating a system where resources circulate rather than stagnate. This is not charity in the sense of loss. It is investment in influence, goodwill, and long-term relationships. True wealth is relational as much as it is financial. Practically, start by allocating a portion of your earnings, 5 to 10%, to giving. This can be money, but it can also be time or knowledge. Mentor someone younger in your field, someone eager to learn but unsure of the way forward. Offer guidance without expecting immediate returns. And watch as your influence grows, your credibility multiplies, and doors that were once closed begin to open. Every dollar or hour given wisely can return manifold in opportunities, insights, and partnerships. Treat giving as a form of financial planning, a seed planted that compounds over time in trust, reputation, and influence. I remember a time when I mentored a young entrepreneur. He was struggling to make sense of his first business. I spent hours helping him structure his strategy, review his goals, and refine his mindset. At the time, it cost me energy and focus, and there was no guarantee of any return. Yet years later, that young man became a significant partner in a venture, contributing not only capital but vision, energy, and loyalty. That investment of giving without expectation returned exponentially. It wasn't luck. It was the natural law that generosity creates abundance. Another aspect of giving is service to your community. Whether it's supporting local programs, sharing resources, or contributing to causes that matter, when you give, you build a network of reciprocity. People remember those who uplift rather than extract. Your reputation as someone who contributes value becomes a magnet for partnerships, clients, and opportunities. This is not about ego or recognition. It's about creating a cycle where wealth flows through you, not just to you. So I challenge you today, give something of value. It doesn't have to be large. It can be a portion of your income, your time, or your knowledge. Mentor someone, support a cause, or simply share guidance freely. Treat every act of giving as an investment in your own growth, your influence, and your business. Generosity is not a cost, it's a multiplier. It builds trust, creates loyalty, and sets you apart from those who only take. Remember this, the secret of lasting wealth is simple. You grow by helping others grow. You expand by giving. You build legacy by leaving a trail of value. When you give to grow, your business, your life, and your wealth are no longer limited by scarcity, they become unlimited.